two, one. Love and light, everyone. This is Cameron Witten, founder and CEO for Brown Hope, here for our monthly May Soul Food Sessions. First, I just want to say thank you to everyone who's joining us here this Friday morning. And we're here just to celebrate all of the amazing things that happened in the last month and to talk about healing, which is what we're here for. And so, let's start it off. As we know, we have three things that we cover during our soul food sessions. We first have the T, which we're going to talk about what is going on in the world around racial justice that we should know about. And then the next thing is two, the plate. And that is when we talk about the exciting updates and announcements happening within our very own Brown Hope organization. And then finally, we end it off with number three, the cake. And that is when we talk about a healing strategy that we highly encourage you consider. So that's what we have planned for today. As a reminder, we have time for Q&A. We'll answer some questions after we get through the plate topic. So feel free in the comments, put a question in there. I'm happy to answer anything, asterisk, mostly anything. So the first thing is the T. And the thing we're going to be talking about today is Tucker Carlson. And I guess this is the farewell to Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson is a name that you probably are familiar with. He has been the most watched daytime cable news host in America, and especially with Fox News for, I actually don't know how long, but very, very long time. And no one ever would have imagined that, surprisingly and suddenly, in the last 2 weeks, Tucker Carlson, who was the most successful and highest earning Fox News anchor, was terminated with only 10 minutes notice before it went public. And the reason why he was terminated was because the owners of Fox News, the Mercer family, felt like he was getting a little too extremist, which is kind of topsy-turvy. Hearing that come from the owners of Fox News, that their highest viewed news anchor, who became the highest viewed because of being really, really, really extremist. We're talking about defending white supremacists, being anti-immigrant, over here being pro-Russia, over here supporting all that kind of MAGA stuff that was happening for years in our country. Apparently, all those things were okay. The breaking point was a text message that Tucker Carlson sent. I forgot. Also, just like a lot of super sexist slurs that they have on record. I'm just saying, like, but the thing that apparently crossed the line was that Tucker Carlson sent a text after the riots and the what do they call it? The storming of Washington, D.C. after the 2020 election. And he sent a text message to one of his producers, and he glorified the violence to a degree, and then also kind of walked it back a little bit and said, well, I really wanted to see that Antifa kid get killed, but that's not how white men do violence. And so that apparently was finally the breaking point. And so it's really put a big spotlight on Fox News of at what point is it okay to be a hateful extremist and be profitable at that until it's not okay. It's really sad it took this long, because I think our country since 2020 has already been on a huge withdrawal of hateful extremism. Thankfully, with Trump being banned from Twitter and Trump being banned from the White House, I do think that we're getting to a sense of civilized common decency. And yet it took 3 years for folks to realize, like, maybe Tucker Carlson is also one of these hateful extremists that we need to hold accountable. Funny enough, for folks who might not know, I actually have my own personal history of Tucker Carlson. I was actually on his show 3 times, and the second time I was on was actually to promote Brown Hope's very first ever event and program, which in 2018 was called the Reparations Happy Hour. And apparently, controversy loves me, y'all. It's like a magnet because that event in 2018 was so controversial. It was in the New York Times. It was in Newsweek. We were on Fox. We were in international news, and everyone was like, "A happy hour for reparations? Controversy." I'm still trying to understand the controversy, y'all, but it was extremely controversial back in 2018. And I was invited to the Tucker Carlson show. And I remember when they put me on screen, they called the event Racist Happy Hour. And they spread this fake news, this misinformation, because apparently people love saying misinformed things about me as well, and said that we put on this event and got money from white people when we used that money to buy drinks for the Black, brown, and indigenous people who were in attendance, which isn't what happened. We straight up gave people cash, and they kept that cash. But they kept saying over and over again, because again, when you lie, you got to repeat it. Like, oh yeah, they paid for drinks. They paid for drinks. We didn't pay for drinks. And it was an intense 6 minutes. Well, probably was one of the most intense 6 minutes of my life. We're just like literally being yelled at by this guy. And he was telling me, because I was talking about the real racial wealth disparities in this country. And he was like, not true, because African immigrants make more on average than white people. And I'm like, okay, that is an alt fact. What about the whole we have census information. We know wealth disparities. This is common knowledge, and yet you're over here trying to alt fact me and literally speak over me and shout over me because you have this idea that African immigrants are wealthier than white people. So anyways, it was a very interesting conversation. He of course cut me off because he didn't want to hear the truth. But yeah, I spent some time on Tucker Carlson, and as one of those guests, I've personally known just how mean he is, and unfair and dishonest. And apparently that has been very lucrative for Fox News up until about 2 weeks ago. And so I'm sure no one here is out here defending Tucker Carlson or watching Fox News like that. But it's still just a shock that our country has so far to go. But I do think that this was a moment of reckoning and reflection. And I hope that Tucker, because I believe all people can change and become good, I hope that he takes this moment and sees the positive of not being around such toxic people at Fox News. And maybe Tucker Carlson, he can start working on a change of heart and just live a happier life and start realizing that Black, brown, indigenous people, we're great. We're great. Somebody will be your friend. Trust me. Like, you just apologize for some of this whack stuff you've said, I'm sure somebody will forgive you. So Tucker, it happens. And I think every opportunity is opportunity for learning and growth. And so that's how I see that. So that is the tea, y'all. Now let's move on to the plate. And this is where we talk about all of the exciting happenings and opportunities at Brown Hope. And we always have way too much going on. The thing I am the most excited to talk about today is that last month we announced our newly hired Chief Operating Officer for Brown Hope, Marshana Williams. I am so thrilled, and our whole team is thrilled that Marshana Williams has joined us as Chief Operating Officer for Brown Hope. She is Portlander born and raised, and she has spent her entire career working in the nonprofit and public sector, most recently as the Director of Strategic Initiatives for Reach CDC, which is our largest affordable housing provider in the Portland metro region. And she joined our team full-time in April. And she is my number 2 as my COO, and I trust her and I love her, and I know her big passion is how do you bring communities together to advance equity, to advance livability? How do we do that through respect, through integrity, through conversation? How do we do that also by speaking up? Because we also have to speak up against injustice as well as we are building relationships with folks who care. And so she's the perfect person for Brown Hope during this time of change, and really believe strongly that she will help us, improve our operations and advance the vision for long-term success. And so I encourage all y'all, if you see Marshana on LinkedIn, feel free to send her a message. Please come up to future events because Marshana will be there. And I'm just so happy that she came here and joined the Brown Hope team. And so with that, we've already been going full blazes ahead. Just 2 weeks ago, we had our first ever leadership team retreat of the year, thanks to Marshana now joining the team. And we spent a whole day at Steeplejack. Shout out to Steeplejack in the Sullivan's Gulch neighborhood. If y'all haven't been there yet, it is an old church that was rehabbed into a tavern. It is beautiful. The food is great. The people are great. And just the stained glass in there, it is heavenly. And so we spent a whole day there as our leadership team, really just talking about how to set up this organization for momentum in 2023. We've got a lot of regrouping to do because, our leadership team is brand spanking new. And we spent that time just really reflecting on everything that happened in the past year and how do we challenge and channel anything that gets thrown at us and turn, as I love to say, how do we turn setbacks into springboards? And I know that doing the work of racial justice often means doing the work of the impossible. We're talking about big systems of oppression. We're talking about cultural norms that don't often see us and embrace us. And so this leadership team, we got a lot of things to be thinking about and a lot of challenges to overcome. But what I know, 2 weeks ago, that leadership team, within one day, we did that work. The thing I was most excited about is that we did a 2-hour-long training on healing justice, because again, our approach to addressing systemic racism is through a healing justice framework. And so spending that time to really get into shared language about what that means and how can we truly heal this entire world from racism, I believe we can do it. And I believe that this leadership team at Brown Hope is going to help make that happen. So please stay tuned. Just wait till you see what this leadership team does. What else have we got going on? So, I need 1 second. I am back. We have a special promo that we're doing, a campaign with Brown Hope, and we're calling it Spread the Fire. This is the Spread the Fire Challenge. And so we have these special branded Brown Hope candles. They smell like sea breeze. I can't open it up, but apparently it smells dope. And on the back, we see here a quote from civil rights firebrand Frederick Douglass. And the quote says, "For it is not light that is needed, but fire. It is not the gentle shower, but thunder. We need the storm, the whirlwind, and the earthquake." And so the idea of the Spread the Fire Challenge is to help us raise community awareness about healing. And so we have this candle. We encourage folks to come to the office because we have tons of these. I mean, literally tons. So if you're watching, email us at hello@brownhope.org. Say you want to come by and get a candle, or maybe we might drop it off. And the idea is to take a selfie while you're lighting the candle, or even take a video. And then you can provide a caption, or if you're doing a video, do a testimonial. And we invite you to answer this question: why is healing important to you? We're trying to make healing a household conversation, a social media conversation. So we encourage everyone to join us in supporting the Spread the Fire Challenge, pick up a candle, and be part of the conversation. Thank you. What else? We have our first donor appreciation event of the year. So on May 25th, we have a donor appreciation event called Hope Springs Back. That's right, it's springtime, and what's springing back? It's hope. And so this is a time for us to hear from our donors, to appreciate them, to have real talk conversation, to answer questions, and get folks excited for everything that we have planned this year because we have some ambitious dreams. And so, again, please save the date for May 25th. That's a Thursday evening. So that's 6 p.m. Thursday evening, May 25th. And we still have the venue TBD, but email hello@brownhope.org, and we'll be sending out an email shortly with the location for our donor appreciation event. Of course, food and drinks will be provided. Last and not least, we have Juneteenth. As a reminder, Juneteenth is the most important campaign for Black Resilience Fund every single year. Since 2020, we've had over 100 businesses every year donate a percentage of their proceeds or sales to Black Resilience Fund to help fund year 2 of our village building program with an income guarantee. And so this is also a great time to donate to Black Resilience Fund because we have a goal of raising $500,000 this year to fund year 2 of our village building cohort. We have 25 households. That means about 80 people that we're currently supporting through this innovative 3-year income guarantee program. And so Juneteenth is going to be happening on June 19th. For folks who don't know, that is when we celebrate the emancipation of enslaved Black people in the United States. And we have over 100 businesses who support Juneteenth every year. So we will be, if you go to blackresiliencefund.com, you will see shortly in the next couple of weeks the list of all the participating businesses for this year. So go out and shop, and please go out and donate. And we also have a new event for Juneteenth this year. We're doing our first ever in-person and also virtual event for Juneteenth, and it's called Tiny Hope. If y'all heard of Tiny Desk, yes, we're doing our own spinoff. Dun, dun. That was an SVU joke. But anyways, Tiny Hope is Brown Hope's own inspired version of Tiny Desk, where we're going to be at our beautiful offices in Northeast Portland, and we are going to have a local musician do a performance and fundraiser for Black Resilience Fund for our Juneteenth campaign. And so we are super excited to have joining us Tahira Memory. Tahira Memory is an amazing artist who is here from Portland. She also performed at our Dream Wild Dreams Gala last year. And we are so excited to have her on June 10th at the Brown Hope offices for Tiny Hope. So please RSVP for that, and we'll be sending out information shortly. So that is all we have for the plate today. Let's go on to Q&A. Ruben, what we got?
Someone asked a question about building multiracial momentum. Can you talk more about that?
Oh, wonderful. So someone asked about building multiracial momentum. So Brown Hope, we have this really unique theory of change. You can find out more on our website. And our second core strategy is building multiracial momentum. And again, the idea of our theory of change is we believe that healing justice is the answer. But how do you do it? What is the theory? What is the concept? What are the ideas that you are promoting? And how do you implement those ideas to effectively create change in your communities? Well, core strategy number 2 is completely focused on building multiracial momentum. And the reason why we focus on that is because we know that racial trauma impacts people of all racial backgrounds. I'll say that louder for folks in the back. Racial trauma impacts folks of all racial backgrounds. And we often see that when we deal with racial tensions, these can often feel siloing or isolating or divisive. And we know that for there to be healing, that every person needs to be able to do their own work and heal from their racialized trauma. And that looks different for different communities. Every different community, every different racial background experiences racial trauma in a different way. So it's not saying that we're all here together, kumbaya, all the time, but it does mean that we all deal with the negative impacts of racism. And in order for there to be healing, we have to build multiracial momentum. So for Brown Hope, this is why explicitly in our mission and in our programs, we are focused as an organization that uplifts and serves Black, Brown, and Indigenous people. We know to get to that place where there is racial justice, that means that folks who identify as Black, folks who identify as Brown, which could be Asian, it could be Latinx, it could be a lot of things, folks who identify as Indigenous, that folks from all these different backgrounds are able to experience healing in their own lives, but then also come together and be able to experience healing and support each other through their different challenges. But this is also a space for racially privileged folks or white folks to also experience healing, because all of us have been harmed by the stresses and traumas of racism. And so that's why we have had our action team program, where racially privileged allies have been able to work with us since day one to create solutions and implement solutions that allow all of us to have reconciliation and healing. And so that's why we at Brown Hope, we say something that should be obvious, that we are stronger together. And our strategy of building multiracial momentum is this additional call to keep finding ways to build community, to come together, to move forward. Because the only way we are getting out of this racialized mess that our history is known for is by healing together. Thank you for the question.
Another question, kind of on that same vein. Someone wants to know. So, paraphrasing for them, it seems like you are very focused on racial justice, but how does healing justice compare or contrast to that?
Yeah, that is a great question. So, someone asked the question about racial justice and healing justice. Are they the same? Are they different? Um, when you talk about the word justice, you're always going to see similarities, but there's also differences in what we mean by justice. So, with racial justice, this is something that I know has become a much more commonly seen and heard word since George Floyd was murdered in 2020. And what we're talking about is very real injustices, like acts of oppression that have happened throughout our recorded history. We're talking about things, that our ancestors dealt with, like slavery and genocide. We're also talking about things happening contemporarily, like overcrowding in prisons, or lack of economic opportunities, or even racialized poverty. We know that racial injustice is happening today. And the idea of racial justice is, how are we creating real solutions to move our communities forward? And then on the other hand, you have this other term called healing justice. And healing justice also is about what can we do to move our communities forward. The thing about healing justice that is so interesting is that it tends to have a more holistic view on what we think of as injustice, and helping to have a more complex and nuanced understanding of what injustice does to us and how we need to address it. And so, one of the big things I think about when it comes to healing justice is acknowledging how racial injustice causes real trauma to us as beings, to our bodies, to our hearts, to our minds, and to our spirits. There's this common term in public health known as slow death, where we know that Black, Brown, and Indigenous folks who experience the most racial trauma, that they experience shorter lifespans, that race itself just being a different skin color. And that even means like they're standardizing for wealth and education backgrounds, all of these things. And if you add the qualifier of race, boom, years of life gone. And so healing justice is really this idea of looking holistically at how all of these systems and issues impact us, even on a cellular level. And how do we create strategies that address these issues while also mitigating as much harm as possible? So the most healthy solutions for justice and healing for all of us. And so that's why Brown Hope focuses on healing justice, because we really want to understand, like, if these are issues, we want to understand all the facts about how this is impacting us and really give the boldest solutions for effective healing for all people. And so that's why for us as an organization, we talk so loudly about being a healing justice organization, and we encourage folks to learn more. A great resource for this would be a book by Resmaa Menakem, and it's called My Grandmother's Hands. It talks a lot about racial trauma in the US and strategies for healing. So thank you. Those were some intense questions. And so we're going to move on to the final segment of Soul Food Sessions, and that is the cake. So let's talk about healing. So the cake is an opportunity for us to promote a healing strategy that we encourage for folks to use in their daily lives. And this month, because the sun is coming out and the guns are coming out, we're going to be talking about sleep hygiene. We know when the seasons change, it can mess up our sleep cycles. And this is an opportunity just to continue practicing healthy sleep, good sleep, because sleep is needed to be productive with your life, to regulate mood, and to actually stimulate deep levels of healing. Sleeping better can actually help remove trauma from your systems. And so what kind of things should you do to practice sleep hygiene? Well, first of all, you should go to bed at a regular date. You should turn off electronics. Stop looking at that phone 60 minutes before bed. Drink some herbal tea. Chamomile is great. You can try essential oils. Lavender essential oil. You can rub it on your wrists. You can put it in a diffuser. I encourage folks to have heavy curtains to block out the light in their window, or wear an eye mask, and always to try to sleep on your side or on your back. And so there's a lot of different things that you can do to help your body be more comfortable when going to sleep. So you go to sleep faster, you go into deeper sleep faster, and you stay asleep longer. It is always a practice. Sleep hygiene is hard. People think just because you laying down in a bed and not moving and snoring, oh, it should come off easily. No, like, it takes intentionality and practice. Sleeping well and sleeping effectively is hard work. And so we're here to say we all can do it. I'm sure we all have things that we can be doing better, myself included, to ensure that we're getting the most hygienic sleep possible. And so we encourage you to take some time and think about what's one thing that you can add to your sleeping schedule, to your sleeping prep work, to really make this, make it part of your healing practice. And so that was Soul Food Sessions for today. We covered the tea, we covered the plate, we covered the cake. We love you all so much. Thank you for viewing, and thank you all for being a great supporter for Brown Hope. You inspire us to do the work that we do. We can't wait to see you in June for our next Soul Food Sessions. But until then, take care and love and light.